known each other now? What would you say?
Almost a year now.
When did you start here?
Um, it's been almost a year now, so I'm gonna say around January, February, somewhere around there.
Sounds about right. I think we got an influx of new agents around like last Christmas.
Yeah.
January. I think that's
Yeah,
when
a
the
little bit
recruiting-
after Christmas is
when the
when I.
recruiting went crazy. I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think I spoke with you on the phone while Ian was on the phone with you before you actually signed up with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was you.
Yeah.
Because you were one of the only agents that actually had prior experience that he was trying to recruit.
Yeah. And now he regrets it.
I think that's a safe assumption. So talk to me a little bit about, and I've known this story, but for those that don't, talk to me a little bit about your previous experience, your transition, and why that happened.
Yeah. So I was with EXP Realty for about a year and a half. And really since I got my license, I've been with EXP under the same mentors. And to this day, they're still my real estate parents.
Okay.
And I still call them, I still talk to them here and there. But I wanted to spread my wings, kind of do stuff on my own and
Grow a little bit.
yeah.
Get outside of that
Yeah.
family dynamic.
Yeah, and they weren't really, blood related family, but they're definitely an adopted family.
Right,
Yeah.
of course. They started looking out for you, but eventually everyone has to get out of their
Yeah.
comfort zone
Yeah,
and try to make it on their own.
Yeah, there was no hard feelings or anything like that. So it's not like, we ended off in a bad. It's just like, hey,
And how has the transition been to Royal?
It's been good, man. It's been good. I always knew at some point I was gonna come here, which was a funny thing. I've known Jay for a while. I've known Ian for a little bit, so I always knew at some point I was gonna come. I just didn't know when. So.
And what's the change in your business been like since you kind of jumped ship over here? Has there been any substantial change or anything you've kind of taken on or a fresh look that you didn't have before?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that Ian and his dad promote is like learning how to do business on your own, rather than like paying somebody to go do it or like, calling leads on your own and trying to figure out how you can level up your business without having to break your wallet. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned here.
I would refer to it as, and not to deter anybody, because there are resources available and
course.
mentors available, and people always here to help.
Yeah.
But trial by fire, for sure.
Yeah.
At least for me, it definitely was, because I didn't have any of that when I started here.
Right.
The only two people that were really available were Ian and Fran, and they weren't available because they were working all the time.
Right.
So I had to step up to that level,
Yeah.
or I wasn't really sure
100%.
what I was going to do.
100%.
So since you've come on board and since we've expanded so much in that short amount of time, it's a lot different due to the resources and things like that I mentioned. When you came on board, I will say that, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, but I was a little, I don't want to say insecure or intimidated. I don't think those are the right words. However, having someone else come on board with experience is always kind of like that, okay, what does he know, things like that.
Yeah.
But I got out of my own way very quickly, and I enjoyed that there was someone else in here that was super active that I could connect with, and that not just I could learn from, but also was coming to me all the time for help.
Yeah, I think this is a ever-growing business, and I think it's like one thing that I will say that I took from where I came from. It's like we're not here to compete. It's like the people who are around you, you want to help them grow as well, and so that's just something that I've learned. Growing up.
And I enjoyed the fact that you brought a little more experience to the table because
it's just a little bit. It's not like a whole lot.
But in a sense of, this is the only office I've ever worked for. So you've worked for multiple places and worked at multiple places and seen things run differently in 100%. A lot of other areas. So bringing that on board and bringing that insight is actually in some ways invaluable, because for someone like me that's never worked at another office, I don't know the difference. Like it's almost like someone that's spoiled. Growing up, and then they have to get out into the real world. They don't want it. They wonder why they can't have everything they want.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny because it is true. It did feel like that. Not in the sense because my mentors were very like strict on not giving me any handouts. I had to work for my own, which is why I've learned so much in the industry. But like coming out here, it's like I really was on my own, and
Yeah.
I had to figure it out. Thank God that I had people like you,
Ask
Ian.
everyone.
All right.
So right off the cuff, if we're talking about St. Cloud and local things, you
Okay.
gave your church a shout out. What are some other areas you love in St. Cloud that you frequent often? I mean, I only see you here, but
Yeah. Wow. The golf course.
Okay.
I go to the golf course a lot. Now that's something that I do. I just picked that up. I'm out there a lot.
Have you ever done it prior, or did you just like let me go do
I've
this?
done it once or twice, but then I don't know. I became addicted to it because of a friend, and I literally like. I think within the past couple months, I have new clubs. I have a new bag. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm like really addicted. So I'm out in St. Cloud a lot playing golf. What else? There's a lot of outdoorsy things to do out here. So
Yeah, absolutely.
trails. I have a husky, so I love going on trails with her, going on walks. Uh, yeah, and food. Any nice restaurants there are out here. So.
Any top of mind?
Are we talking mom and pop shops?
Yeah.
Mom
it could be anything, but I would definitely say any local.
Locals.
Local for sure.
The Tavern is pretty good, which is right next door. Rancho Chico's pretty good, pretty freaking good actually. And then I know I'm gonna get like mixed emotions about this, but Sip and Dip.
No, it's it's a St. Cloud staple. Like
Yeah.
I used to, that place used to be. Not a lot of people know this. I don't even know if they still are, but not a lot of people know this because I'm a St. Cloud original. I can tell this story is that place used to be open till like 3-4 in the morning.
Shut up.
If not 24 hours, I don't remember. What? Because my mother was a bartender in St. Cloud, downtown St. Cloud, for years. And when she would get off work, I used to be a night owl. That's how it's been so easy for me to get up so early.
Yeah.
Because I still get a little bit of that world being quiet. I can do my own thing
Right.
and not have to deal with people.
Right.
So she'd get off work at like 3-4 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
And my brother and I would still be up playing video games or just dicking off or whatever. So she'd call, the house phone, because we would still had house phones most of the time back then.
Right.
And she'd be like, "What do you guys want from Sip and Dip? I'm stopping." And so she would bring us I think they changed the recipe since then, but the seafood sub or the seafood stuffy is what they used to call them.
Yeah, I didn't know that they served more than donuts there. Why are we talking about Sip and Dip?
And we're talking about it, man.
They used to bring, I didn't know they had breakfast there. And I actually had some clients that I had closed, and they're like, "Hey, let's go celebrate at Sip and Dip." I was like, "Yeah, let's go get some donuts." And like, donuts? No, we're talking about like sandwiches. I'm like,
Yeah.
Sandwiches at Sip and Dip?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I ate it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is life changing."
Yeah, because it's the same like bread, same recipe for the most part.
Yeah.
Because I've had donuts there. Actually, that's funny that you say that because before I never ate donuts there. I would always eat sandwiches.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then, like, I didn't eat a donut from Sip and Dip until probably a couple years ago was the first time.
Dude, they're so good, man.
Yeah.
They're so good.
It's funny because that's where most people get their donuts from.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
gosh, they're so good. They're so good.
So obviously he's very passionate about Sip and Dip. And
Yes.
I mean, for anybody coming in, that is the nice local donut shop.
Yeah.
And if you want to be cheap, you can just go to Dunkin' Donuts. But if you want some quality stuff, go to Sip and Dip.
Yeah. Oh, and not Psalms. It's brand new. It's John 316, the coffee shop as well.
I've been in there too.
Oh.
Yeah, and
it's actually good coffee though.
Yeah, and that's right in downtown. So
yeah,
you want like a real St. Cloud feel.
Oh yeah, 100%. The owners. That's one thing I love about St. Cloud. It's like the small business owners. They're all so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all so nice and they're all so friendly. And it's just like you get that small town feel when you come out here, man. And it's like everyone. The owners are so hands on. They're so ready to say hi and whatnot. So yeah, I like that.
It's well, a lot of people, and I find this, and that's even in the culture here, is, you have a family-owned business, they're more than likely going to at least try to treat you like family.
Yeah, for sure.
And it resonates.
100%. 100%.
But John 316 is fairly new. There's a couple of new businesses popping up around there. I've taken I went with my niece to the Pops ice cream shop, which if you've never been there with your kids.
It's in downtown?
Yeah, it's in downtown St. Cloud. If you just walk down.
It's right next to John
corner.
316?
Yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, okay. So you've
Phenomenal.
taken your kids there? Okay.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And they sat in the ice cream cone chairs?
Yes.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Yeah, no, they're so good. The milkshakes are phenomenal. They're so good. Unbelievable place, for sure.
Anything else? I mean, we talked about business, but anything for the church. What else do you have going on? How can people reach out to you if they want to get interested in the church? How can people reach out to you if they're just like, look at this handsome fella here, I want that man as my realtor?
Yeah. So I do have Instagram. So you can visit my Instagram at DavidTheRealtor_. I go to Focal Point Church out in Orlando. It's not in St. Cloud. It's in Orlando.
It's quite a drive.
It's okay. It's not too bad. You take it's 20-minute drive. But it's not too bad. And yeah, my Instagram, Facebook is David Vazquez. I'm not gonna give out my personal number to the world, but yeah.
All right, that's fair enough.
321-278-4299. Call me. Buy a house now. Yeah.
Okay. What was the last children's movie you watched that you enjoyed?
Literally, I watch so many a day. Into the Spider-Verse.
We're not talking about the ones you have to watch multiple times a day.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna say Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
I saw it yesterday.
Has there been any kids movies that you didn't enjoy?
That I didn't?
Yeah.
No,
besides the ones that you have to watch 100 times a day.
Call me. I'll watch Paw Patrols with you. I'll watch Blue. I love them all.
Let's see. What else do we have for you? Music or movies? If you could pick one form of entertainment over? And what kind of music?
R&B or jazz. R&B, jazz, really laid back music or worship.
Really relaxing.
Yeah. If and it depends on the mood. If we're talking worship, then I'm gonna go gospel.
Okay. That's a very common thing actually around this office, but it's not enjoyable.
Right.
Takes a very particular sound for me to get hooked. However.
Right.
All right. What else do I have for you? Do you have any questions for me?
Do I have any questions for you? Dalton, what keeps you up at night?
Not a lot, because I go to bed very early.
And when I ask that question, I mean, like, what's your motivation? What keeps you going? So
that's a very interesting answer, David. What keeps me going? If I could simplify it in some way, it would be someone's got to fucking do it. That would be the simplest answer I could give.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And
Somebody's got to freaking do it.
We'll bleep it out. And it'll bleep out. But that's the attitude I put into it too.
Yeah.
You have to have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You have to have that determination in
course.
order to get it done.
Of course.
So yeah, that if I could boil it down to one phrase, like that would be it. And I only say that because I had an interview with one of my BNI members recently, and he kind of asked me the same thing, but he said it for me. So I was like, yeah, that kind of resonates with me. That's often how I feel, is someone's got to do it.
Right.
Why not me, I guess.
Yeah.
And to that point, like, the only reason I ever do anything and achieve it is just to prove a point.
That's good. Let's see. I'm not trying to ask super deep questions, but I am. That's why I'm thinking. It's
usually my job.
Right. Do you feel like you're going down the path that you're called to, or do you feel like you're forcing something to happen that you want to happen? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, because to the latter. Which is forcing something to happen.
Right.
No, I've lived most of my life trying to force things.
Okay.
And I realized that it didn't really get me very far. It just frustrates me, and I grow contemptful. And both of those things hold you back even more from your destination or even your destiny. So I believe, like I asked you earlier, am I on the right path? Yes, and because I've let go of so much. If I could break it down in one kind of quote or phrase, it would be, they say winners never quit, but that's not true.
Right.
Winners quit everything except what they want to win at.
That's good. Check mark. I put that in my brain, taking it with me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's it. I don't have any other questions. Do you have any more questions for me?
Ooh.
Random questions?
Yeah, sure. If we're gonna ask deep questions. why do you feel personally like, I mean, you said you're definitely on the right path, but you also said that you could be doing more. Why do you feel like you're not doing that? What's holding you back?
I think, in the position that I'm at as a father, it's like there's so much more to lose.
Okay.
Rather than gain. And for me, it's like, and I'm a young father. My oldest child is 3 years old. And my youngest is about to be 1. And
your kids are adorable, by the way.
Thank
when
you.
they come in here, they're
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Your daughter and I now have a thing when she's in the office. I just stare at her and I turn my head like a dog and I just watch her and she's like, "What is this guy doing?" So now she does it to me when she's in here.
Yeah, she's a character, man. She's definitely a character. I think for me it's like I learn a lot from fathers who have been doing it longer than I have, but for me it's like you don't really know how much you have to lose, I feel like, till you become a dad.
Sure.
And that's why I just walk so every single step that I take, I have to like really, really count it. Like I can't take, huge major.
You have to take calculated risks.
Oh yeah.
If you take risks at all.
Right. And it's like super calculated risks. It's like I really have to like sit through something, think it, and be like, okay, should I do this or should I do this later on in my life?
Yeah, you've come to me with a few of those inner passes, and and I know that's the reason.
Yeah.
And I can't give you any advice as a father, unfortunately. But I will ask you one question that stood out to me as soon as you said something about it, which was you said, I have so much more to lose now that I'm a father.
Yeah.
What if you flipped that script and then said, I have so much more to fight for?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I think it works both ways, and that's why I try to work as hard as I can to provide them with the life that I didn't have.
Right.
Because I don't want them to miss out on the good things in life,
Obviously, yeah.
And so
life is the good thing in life.
Right. Right.
Regardless of if, mentality is everything.
Yeah.
So, regardless if you have a tough life or not, like I understand where that mentality comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, a follow-up question to that would be, I asked, isn't that worth fighting for, things like that. But I think your mindset in saying, I have so much more to lose, I would say, and I don't want to say, oh, this is your problem, because what do I know?
Yeah.
But when you say, oh, I have so much more to lose, I feel like you're focusing more on the potential loss instead of the potential gain.
No, 100%. Yeah, that is something that I've been struggling with lately, because I used to be very optimistic, and I'm still somebody, I still see the cup half full rather than half empty, but, just having my kids, it's like, yeah, I can see the cup half full, but I also don't want to do something that could jeopardize,
I understand.
The life that they have or the life that I want them to have.
And it's the stability they already have.
Correct.
You don't want to upheave that.
Yeah,
correct. And you have a lot more to think about than just yourself. Clearly, it's easy for me to sit here and say that without being a father, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely easy for me to say that.
Yeah.
If I was in your shoes, it would be a completely different conversation, right?
Yeah, everything that I do, I've gone to a place where everything I do is really led by the Holy Spirit. It's like, and I know a lot of people are like, whatever, but it's something that I truly take very serious. I think I told somebody recently where they had asked me a question. They were like, why don't you just do it? And I was like, because I don't move unless God tells me to move, and I don't move an inch unless God tells me to move an inch. Mm-hmm. And although, yes, sometimes you do have to take leaps of faith, and I do believe in that, but I feel like I've just gotten to a place where God will speak to me. If I need to be at a certain place at a certain time, if I should be doing something, the Lord will reveal it to me. So
yeah. He might reveal it through other people and things like that.
Yes.
See, that's where I've struggled, but my greatest asset is also my greatest detriment, which is impatience.
Right.
I have a lot of impatience because I want to get somewhere quickly. I'm willing to put in the work to do that, but in a lot of other areas you can't be impatient. Because to your point of what you said is the way will reveal itself, and I 100% agree. And there's a quote that I like to think about a lot, which is, if you wait for the perfect time, you're never going to get it.
Right.
And then because you create the perfect time.
But
that's something I've struggled with within my faith as well, is the fact of, if I'm just going to keep sitting here and waiting, and it's not just me. I've dealt with people, and I've looked at a lot of people in my life that have a ton of faith, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But the behavior I see that cultivates is, I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to wait, instead of trying to, and I want to say control your destiny, because I don't believe you completely can, because I do believe in fate, but I think there's a positive level of commitment and control within there that you can kind of.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A lot of Christians have, I would call it lazy faith, where it's like,
I'm glad you said it.
They have faith, but they don't put the work behind it, or the selfish faith, where it's like they want God to answer something, but they don't seek the Lord. And so I think for me, one of the things that I've understood, kind of like walking, the walk, I'm seeking for the Lord's face and not his hand. And I'm constantly putting in my place, where David was called while he was working, Moses was called, while he was serving. And like, it's these things where, these great men of God were all out on the field doing what, their daily work. Peter was out fishing, before, God came and called him. So, I just feel like that's just how the Lord works, like, you gotta seek his face, not his hand, and, just
it's a good way to put it. I like that.
Keep working. Yeah, 100%.
And a quote I heard semi-recently that really resonated with me, kind of in that same vein, is someone who is of great faith said a quote that I really liked, which was, I'm far more interested in what I can do for God than what he can do for me. And in that, how would you say, kind of alignment, he's done miracles in his life, right? He's like, I've only ever prayed twice for myself, and they were answered. That's why I knew I should be careful about what I pray for.
I think that's a good mindset to have. It's like everything we do, and the cost of holiness is much, and I think that's something that people forget. There was this book that I was reading with our leadership at church. It's called Reese Howler, and they were speaking about an amazing book that our pastor had us read. It spoke about one of the things that stuck to me to this day, and like, we read this book probably like 2 months ago, but one of the things that stuck with me, that is probably going to stick with me forever, is when you are called to surrender, it feels like there's a death sentence over your life.
Yeah.
And that level of surrenderance to the Lord is really, what people need to be able to live at that place where, you're living a holy lifestyle, you're living a life that really pleases the Lord, because,
We're going to end up, boy, I'm more than likely going to have to cut this, because we can keep going on with this conversation.
Yes.
Because I would also say, in finding the Lord, prior to finding the Lord, I went through a lot of Jordan Peterson's work, and he has something to say about that, which is, I think that's where the sacrifice comes in. Is the story of God, the story of Jesus is the same story you see in every single heroic novel, comic book, movie. Everything is blueprinted from the story of Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
And it at its core is the story of the sacrifice. Yeah. So I think to that point of, it's going to feel like you're breaking, it's going to feel like you're breaking down. That in and of itself is you sacrificing something, you sacrificing a piece of yourself or your life, and leaving it behind, burning it off, which in spirituality and psychology they often call an ego death, which is, you're changing and rather than having life change you. Yeah. It's self-immolation rather than having someone else light you on fire and burn off what doesn't work for you anymore. And that's the same thing as the sacrifice. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing Jesus did, and you know it and you feel it when you do it, is he knew what his destiny was, and he did not, he didn't shy away from that. He took it on head on. Oh, yeah. And that's the hero's journey. That's the sacrifice.
Yeah. And yeah, man, I think that's the life that we all strive to live, a life like Jesus. And it's hard, but...
Yeah. And to end it, I will say, I'm my own worst enemy a lot of the time, and I always have to remind myself, and the best, because I'm a perfectionist, but the best quote I've ever heard is, the only perfect person to ever walk this earth was crucified for it. So
that's good.
If you ever have a lot of haters or a lot of people throwing stones at
good.
you, know that it's because you probably are doing something right.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're being called towards your destiny.
Yeah, that's so good. That's really good.